we front loaded this project, and I told you about that when we first got started. I told you that we were going to begin with the end in mind. Okay? So we did our dream of a little dream, and we imagined our future lifestyle first. Okay? Because what I felt was that as you were looking at this house and this car and this family that you wanted to create one day, and what that was going to mean to you, I felt that that would be a motivator to show you what it's going to take to get what you want and put you on track to doing that. Okay, so what I mean by that is we looked at the lifestyle first as a motivator to say, well, then I gotta make sure I get that good job. I gotta make sure I go to college and get the credentials for that good job, so one day I can have that house. One day I can have that car. We had a young man sitting right over here where Brandy Lynn is sitting, looking at a $148,000 BMW. He called me over and he was just looking at it. I said, I really like that car, man. He said, yeah, me too, Miss Hall. I want this car, Miss Hall. I really want this car. I said, well, if you work hard enough, you can get it. He said, I'm gonna get it. I really like this car. Girl sitting right over there near where Reagan is seated. She was looking at a home somewhere in California. Beautiful home. Beautiful home. And she was just sitting there. I'm like, come on, baby, now you get to work. She said, Miss Hall, I really like this house. She said, now I know I'll never be able to buy this house because somebody's gonna buy this house before I can buy it in 10 or 15 years. She said, but if I can work hard enough to have a house like that, that's what I really want. I said, well, you can work hard enough to have it, okay? You gotta look at what it's gonna take to get it and do it, okay? And so again, we began with the end in mind then, okay? Because that lifestyle that we want, now that we know what we want, now we've gotta start putting the pieces in place to actually get those things. Everybody follow me? One of the pieces to get what you want is to make sure you have a good job. Okay, anybody can buy a house, anybody can probably buy a car, but keeping those things is the question. How will you be able to keep it and maintain it? Well, you gotta have a good job, Jackie. And it's not just having a job at McDonald's. You need to have a good career, okay? That no matter where you move around this country, around this world, you have a career that opens up doors for you to gain an income. Everybody follow me? So, for research part 2, we are going to delve into our career choices. Okay, we're going to dissect these careers and we're going to break them down so we understand what does it truly mean to be a lawyer? What does it truly mean to be a teacher? Okay, what does it truly mean to be a surgeon? Okay, and so that's the point of research part 2. Ryan, when I was about your age, I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. Okay, one of the things I wanted to be was a teacher. Now, Caitlin, it would have been nice if I had done a project like this because there are a lot of things that I didn't realize came with the territory of being a teacher. And had I broke it down when I was your age, someone asked me earlier, would you have changed your mind? I said, well, no, I probably wouldn't have changed my mind. I just would have been a little more strategic about how I moved forward, okay? Because there are a lot of parts that I didn't consider. So looking at this for research part 2, there are 25 questions that are recommended for a career-minded person to answer before they go into a career. 25 of them. You've noticed that we've only given you how many? We've only given you 12. Okay, for the sake of time, we've only given you 12, but you know my mantra is not about quantity, it's about what? Quality. And these are the top 12 of the 25 that are important to answer and confront before you go into a career. Now Lee, here's my disclaimer. When we do this project, some kids, they finish up research part 1, they said they wanted to be this big time neurosurgeon or whatever, and then they start looking into it a little more closely for part 2, and we have a lot of people who change their hearts and their minds. And they go, oh my God, I don't want to be that anymore. Okay? Now, my disclaimer for that, Caleb, is no, you don't have to go back and change research part 1 if you do change your career choice. Okay? You do not have to go back and change research part 1. You would just let us know that when you present your big project. We'll talk about that a little more later. If you have any changes along the way, you'll just tell us that. Okay? In research part 2, I changed my mind, decided I didn't want to be this anymore. And you'll talk about how the salary might be different, but how it may not affect your lifestyle aspirations. We had some kids who reworked their lifestyle. They didn't have to do a lot of reworking. Okay? But I'm just throwing that out there that if you do have a change of heart, don't feel like you have to stick to the career from part 1 just because you don't want to go and make a lot of changes. Well, I'm telling you now, I'm not going to require that you go and make a lot of changes. So if you want to change your mind, then do that. Everybody clear? All right, because we want the project to be beneficial to you. And I don't need you researching a career that you no longer want to partake in. All right, so let's look at the document. I printed out a tangible copy of the rubric, but you should have also gotten a remind message from me, which is the digital Word document of this particular rubric, okay? Notice I normally send y'all PDFs, but for this rubric, I sent it in a Word document. Why? I'm so glad you asked. Because this is the canvas that everybody is going to use to create Research Part 2. You will go directly into this Word document, Reagan, and answer the questions, okay? So that's why you got a Word document, so you can go in there and you can do what you need to do. Everybody following, yes or no? However, I printed these on yesterday, and then this morning, Alexis, I got in here, and I started making some final little last-minute tweaks to the directions. Not by much, but a little bit. And so it's going to be different on this paper versus what you'll see when you open up the Remind document. So what we're going to do, we're going to read what's on the paper first, Ryan, and then as I go back through to try to break it down and clarify everything, we will look at the screen so that you can see kind of the differentiations and the clarifications that were made. Everybody clear? All right, please read along with me silently on your paper. It says directions. Respond in detail to each statement and place a screenshot from where you got your information. There must be at least one printed source, which means a printed book, magazine, journal, etc. Please place a picture of the page from which you obtained your information. Start a new Works Cited page entitled Works Cited Career Research. Paste all of your links there and be prepared to go back and put all information in MLA format. All right? Now, that's a lot, and you probably don't even realize it. So now let's go back in. Let's look at the screen this time. And you'll make some changes on your documents, and you'll be in both places. But I'm going to read from the screen now, Matt. It says, respond in detail to each statement. Okay, let me just stop right there. Everybody asks, how in the devil did this project go from a one-page document to 5 to 7 pages? Well, you got a chance to see firsthand how it went from one page to about 5 to 7 pages. Because you're responding in what? In detail. Okay? Now, Ryan, every year I give kids this rubric and they go, I can answer these questions right now. And they go try and start answering. No, you cannot do that because that negates the purpose of the research project. Okay? If I wanted you to just answer it, we wouldn't call it a research project, it would just be you answering a questionnaire. Okay? I need to prove, and you need to prove that you've done the research, which is why, Alexis, this document grows from a one-pager to about 5 to 7 pages, because as you respond, you also have to do what the and says. And do what, everybody? Place a screenshot showing where you got your information from. That proves, Aaron, that you did not make it up. You didn't just sit there 5 minutes before the bell, 5 minutes before it was due, and you sat there and gave me all these answers. It's going to make sure you've done the work, okay? Now, for the screenshots, please write this note. Everybody write now. Write this note. There's a line right above directions and in between class period and English 1 pre-AP. You see that space right there? I will write this down on your paper right now. Everybody write this. Screenshots are required. Screenshots are required. Caleb, we're writing what I'm saying. Screenshots are required. Semicolon. Typed responses are conditional. I'll say that again. Screenshots are required. Semicolon. Typed responses are conditional. Screenshots are required. Typed responses are conditional. Okay? What do I mean by that? I'm so glad you asked. Reagan, because screenshots are required, that means every answer has to have a screenshot or some type of image. Everybody following me, yes or no? If your screenshot directly answers the statement or directly responds to the question, you don't need to make any modifications. There will be no question about the answer that this screenshot provides. You can just put that screenshot in there and you don't have to what? You don't have to type up a response. But if your answer requires any modifications to that screenshot, any clarification to the screenshot, any additional explanation, then obviously you will need to what? Type your response. Does that make sense, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Because all day I've had to break that down to Ms. Harler even further. So now let's talk about that really quickly. I want to show you what that might look like. So last year, y'all, I set up an online notebook for each of my classes. Now, I didn't do that for y'all this year for multiple reasons. We'll talk about it later. But let me show you what a student did last year. So here in her online notebook, I just want you to see what I mean by how you'll have screenshots and you'll have typed responses. Now, you may have to help me with the cursor. Someone, do you see the cursor over there? Am I close to where I need to be to drag it down? Tell me what to do. Up, down. Here's the mouse. Where do I need to put it to drag down? Down. Let me know when I can start dragging. Now. Go to the right. Left.
Miss Hall, click the down arrow.
No, it doesn't work.
Really?
Yeah, all day I've tried it. All right, here we go. So right here, notice, here's her answer to number 2, the job, tasks, and work activities. Notice she has her screenshot right here in the blue, which she got from ONET, by the way. Remember I told y'all on the required screenshots document to put the link back to the summary report from ONET? Remember that? Well, if you did that, you're going to easily answer questions 1 through 7, very easily. Okay? So all she did was screenshot it, the answer here, Alexis, but why does she have to turn around and type it up here? Look at the difference. Why? Thank you. Because it tells you that you have to highlight the top 5 activities that you're most excited about. And most of us may not know how to highlight in a screenshot. So because that screenshot had to be modified, she gave me the screenshot because it was required. But then she turned around and she typed out, and I'll just be honest with you, she didn't type all that out. I showed them how to just copy and paste it, all right? They thought that document was not, one of the documents you can copy and paste, but she could do that. So she just copied and pasted it, and then she highlighted, okay? So Matt, do you see what it's gonna look like when you have a typed response and then your screenshot right beneath that? Yes or no? Now, when in doubt, make a mental note. When in doubt, if you think your screenshot is not direct enough, you think it's not going to be sufficient enough, when in doubt, do both. That means type it up and give me a screenshot, okay? Because you don't want to lose points because I say that screenshot is not direct enough. That doesn't answer the question for me. Yes or no? Okay, very good. All right. So that is what it looks like when you have a typed response and a screenshot. Let's continue going through our directions. Next sentence. There must be at least one printed source, which means a printed book, magazine, brochure, pamphlet, whatever, okay? I want you to underline that sentence, there must be at least one printed source. Underline that sentence, Reagan, and give yourself a stem up, because I'm going to give you some notes to write. Gio, we're writing notes. Okay? There must be at least one printed source. Underline that and give yourself a stem upward so that I can give you a note to take about that. Here we go. Please write this down. Even if I don't send out a reminder, I'm holding you accountable because you're writing it down right now. Tuesday, April 18th, everybody put Library Day. Tuesday, April 18th, Library Day. 1, while I am requiring that you have a printed source for this project, I'm going to equip you with that printed source by taking you to the library on the 18th to get a printed source, okay? If you are not here that day, okay, we've already talked about it, but if you're not here for whatever the reason might be, that means you're responsible for getting your own printed source, okay? And you're responsible for all of the benefits that we got from our library visit. You're responsible for getting those things on your own, okay? So while we're there, Ben, we're going to get our printed source on the 18th, okay? Also, while we're there, let's look at the next part of that sentence. We're going to also have the librarians make a photocopy from our book or our printed source that answers the question for us, okay? You need a photocopy. It's going to go in your tangible portfolio that you turn in at the end of the project. But notice, Ryan, it says you also need a picture. Why do you need to take a picture of it as well? Thank you. Because you need to put that picture in your digital file because every answer has to have a response and a what? And a screenshot. Well, your picture from the tangible source would be your screenshot, if you will. Everybody following, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So we're going to get our books on that day. Please also write down next to your library day. 4 sources are required for this project. 4 sources are required for this project. Notice, I did not say 4 different sources. I just said 4 sources. Now, Ryan, for research part 3, you will be required to have 4 different sources. And I'm going to tell you what those sources have to be. All right? But for part 2, I'm just telling you 4 sources. Now, I've already spoken for one of your sources, which is going to be a what? Of some type of book, some type of printed, tangible source. Okay? What you do with the other 3, Alexis, is up to you. Everybody following, yes or no? Okay.
Sorry.
All right? So, you have to have 4 sources for this project. They don't have to be 4 different sources for part 2. Okay? But for part 3, they will be. All right. Are we clear on everything so far? Because now I want to change gears and start talking about the works cited page. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Before I talk about the works cited page, let's quickly look at the questionnaire. For the first section of part 2, 1, you're doing a general overview of your career. So I want to know the name of your desired career. So you're going to type up the name and then give me an image of that career. Is that easy enough to follow? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, number 2, all of the job tasks and work activities. Now, ONET gives you a whole list of them. I'd like for you to get them all, but then you're only going to highlight the top 5 that you're most excited about. Everybody clear on that? Number 3, when you get this job, this big career, Ryan, there are certain tools and technology that you will use on a frequent basis. I need you to put that also in your project, okay? Tools and technology. It says at least 5. So if ONET only gives you 3, that means you need to come off of that resource and maybe go Google it or something. Find some other ones that you can fill in, because I want at least 5. Can you give more than 5? Yes, but I need at least 5 tools and technology that you're going to use, okay? For 4 and 5, you do realize there's a difference between knowledge and skills, yes? Yes. Okay, knowledge is what you have to know. Skills is what you have to be able to do, okay? So you need to make sure you answer those as well, again, with screenshots that prove all of your answers. Number 6, ONET gives you information about education, but I will be honest with you, for some of the job summaries, it's very minimal. So help me again, I need to go down. Where am I?
Go down.
Down?
Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah.
All right. So let's see, I'm scrolling down. Notice she has her answer. She's got her screenshots. Answer, screenshot, answer, screenshot. Now look right here at education. ONET gave her just this much, okay? Look at your rubric though. You're required to tell me the number of years that it takes to get this degree. So I had a girl want to sit down and break down all the years and all the different levels to get her doctorate. Okay, sweetheart, just put that in your project. You don't have to tell me about it. Okay, put it in your project. Okay, make sure you have screenshots to prove what you're saying. Degrees. You need to also tell me what type of degree do you have to have. A bachelor's in whatever, or a master's in whatever. You need to try to find that research so you know what you have to aspire towards as it relates to your education to get the job, okay? And then certification. Now, some careers, Matt, require a degree and certification. For example, being a teacher. You have to have a degree and you also have to have a teaching certificate. Same with being a principal, so on and so forth. Some jobs don't require you to have a degree. They just say you have to get this certification, okay? So you need to look at that and you need to make sure you answer accordingly. Everybody following, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
For required uniform, number 7, please write this on your rubric. You must provide an image. Okay, you must provide an image of the required uniform. Now, she didn't do that, so that's kind of a ding on her. But let's assume her rubric did not say that. But yours should say it, because I'm telling you to write it down right now, Raven. All right? Everybody clear on general overview?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's look at the second section. Where could I see myself? Number 8, best company or organization to work for, along with an image and screenshot proving that they are said to be the best. Okay? So what I mean by that, Caleb, everyone's proof will look different. You just need to find language that alludes to the fact that your company is the best somehow. It might say top ranked number 7 out of 100 companies. Well, does that not say that they're pretty much close to the best? I hope so. If you see something that says they're in the top 5% for companies, around the world, is that not language that says they're somewhere ranked in the best? Okay. Somebody said, well, it doesn't just say the best. So do you want me to put it? Well, it might not just come out and say the best. It might say it in different ways, but you should be pre-AP enough to translate the best versus not the best. Everybody clear, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you have to answer it like she did here. She has Louis Braverman Architect. That's the company she wants to work for. And these are her 2 screenshots proving where she found evidence that they're the best. Everybody following, yes or no? All right. Top 5 reasons. Number 9. Top 5 reasons you'd want to work for this particular company. Notice the parenthetical directions. It says, your reasons must be research-based. You can also use personal reasons, but there must be a what between the 2? A balance between the 2. I want you to see what she typed. She did a really good job with this. Am I at the place where I need to be? Nope, just kidding. All right, here we go. All right, mouse. Y'all see the mouse? Okay, I'm over here.
Down.
Down.
Go to the left. Yeah. Okay, now.
Just a little bit.
Down. Right. Left. What? Yeah. You went too far.
Oh, sorry. Okay, here we go. I can't see. I don't know what's going on. Okay, here we go. Top 5 reasons you want to work for this particular company. Here's what she said. Number one, this firm has numerous awards in design. And there's awards, 2016, 2015, 2015. That's her screenshot to prove the awards that this company earned, okay? Everybody see that, yes or no? There are more, I'm just showing you that one right now, this is right there. Number two, this firm has many different projects internationally and nationally, which means that's gonna give her more what to do?
Work.
More work and more opportunities, because they have jobs all over the place, okay? Yeah, exactly, traveling opportunities, good. And I'm gonna show you where she proves that in just a second. Number three, it is a woman-owned business. She was one of the girls who looked up and found out that women make 10% less than men in some career industries, okay? So she wanted to make sure she worked for a company that did not deduct pay from women's salaries or whatever. So working for a woman-owned business, you think she has to worry about not getting equal pay? Absolutely not, okay? No, she's a man, just kidding. All right, number four. Notice how she distinguished number four from all the other ones. She said, I what? I personally enjoy the style of their design. Letting me know, hey, this is my own personal reason. May not be research-based, this is just how I personally feel. I admonish you to do the same. Otherwise, everything else should be research-based, okay? And I'm gonna show you where she gave proof of that. And then number five, the firm has published and been published in many books and magazines, okay? So, here we go. There you see the screenshots that show the awards. Where's my mouse? I'm right here.
Yeah, wait, yes, that's it.
Right here?
Yeah.
All right. There are the awards they got. There are the international and national designs that they've done. Those are the designs that she likes. These are the books that they've either been published in or have published themselves. So everything she said, she proved. Do y'all see that, yes or no? And you have to prove it. One, I need it proved, okay? All right, so we're done with that part. Number 10 in this section. Why you'd be best at this job. Reagan, this is your opportunity to articulate your strengths. Okay? This is your moment to brag on yourself and what you're good about. And you need to take a moment to do that. Because sooner or later, you're going to be interviewing for a job, whether it's for a job at Bahama Bucks or whether it's for a job for, Nike, okay, or Dell. Okay, it could be for your future career. Doesn't matter. When you start to interview, one of the questions that they will ask you is, why should I hire you over her and her and her? Why you? And if you're not prepared, Matt, to brag on yourself and articulate your strengths, you're going to be kind of caught off what? Off guard. And so number 10 is your time to shine. Go ahead and write up, why would you be best for this job? Okay? Please make a note. You need a minimum of 4 sentences, so no less than 4 sentences, which means I should have at least 4 reasons and 4 explanations, okay? So don't just say, I'm tall, I'm cute, and I dress nice. Well, what? Okay. Now, boy said, well, if I want to be a model, that's great. Okay, well then put, I'm tall, and most models are tall. I'm cute, and I would think that you would want your model to be good looking. Okay, I dress nice, which means that when I'm on the runway or off the runway, I'm going to represent our company well. All right, don't just put these things and don't tell us why it applies to your job. Does everybody understand, yes or no? All right, very good. And in the past and the future, we're going to look back on the past. How have other people impacted their community, their state, their country, their nation, our world maybe, in the career field that you're aspiring for? Okay, find one person who has made an impact. Please write this on your paper. I want to know who they are. I want to know what they've done. And I want to know how they created an impact, along with an image of the person. Who they are, what they've done, how they've made an impact, and then I want an image of the person. Make sure you write that out, Juan. You're looking at me, but you should be writing this on your paper. Who they are, what they've done, how they've created an impact, and then I want an image of the person. For me, Reagan, when I see that other people have done some of the things that I'm aspiring for, it gives me motivation to know that if somebody else has done it, I can do it too. All right? Somebody says, well, what if you don't find somebody who's ever done it? Well, that should motivate you to want to be the what? The first. Okay? I'm pretty sure you're going to find somebody who's been a teacher before. All right? Don't ask me any questions, just kidding. All right. Number 12. Now I'm coming down your street. This is how we end the whole project. How will you use your career to impact your community, your state, your country, nation, and or world. Now, if you want to do every level, do every level. You just want to do one or two, just do one or two. But I do want to know, how are you going to impact others in your career? I said it all day today, and I'll say it again to you guys. If you're not waking up every morning asking yourself how you can make a positive impact, then why are we waking up? Okay? If you're not living your life to make a positive difference in the lives of others, what are we living for? Okay? And so that's a question you need to ask yourself up front. Why do you want this job? Because if it's just to make money, you're not going to stay on that job very long. It needs to be something that comes from inside of your heart. Okay? And that's going to drive you to get up every day and keep doing it. Does everybody understand, yes or no? Okay. All right, so that's the questionnaire. Let's talk about MLA citations really, really quickly. I've given you this document. It told you in the directions that you're required this time to do an MLA works cited page. Now, for part one, we didn't have to do a works cited page. I told you, don't worry about it. Just copy all your links, put it at the end of your PowerPoint, and tell me what each link was for. Yes or no? Well, we're taking it up a notch, because for part three, we're going to do the most advanced level works cited page, which is an annotated bibliography, Matt. So we're building towards that annotated bib. So for part two, we need to learn how to do things in MLA format so that we can build towards the annotated bibliography. Everybody follow me, yes or no? So this document I gave you, it's a one-pager. It explains how you cite sources in MLA format. Now, somebody earlier said, well, what about APA format? Okay, APA and MLA format are usually designated by your instructor based off of his or her preference, okay? I prefer MLA because it's easier, okay? It's simpler to follow. That doesn't mean next year before you graduate from high school, and definitely while you're in college, it doesn't mean that someone won't ask you to cite in APA format and then you will follow a different formula, okay? Everybody follow, but this is MLA, which is usually the most popular one that people use, okay? So let's look at this document. Again, it's a one-pager. A lot of my upperclassmen know we're doing this research project right now. A lot of them remember this document. I've had several kids coming here and asking me for another copy of this because the one that their teacher gave them might be a little more confusing. It might be multi-pages. They liked how simple this was. So I'm telling you that not because I want to make myself feel good. I'm telling you that because if they're asking for it and they are now upperclassmen, that means that this is something that you want to what? Hold on to and keep, okay? Because you can use it later, all right? All right, I'm not going to read this whole document to you, but let's kind of look at some of the things. The very first section of this document tells you what a works cited page is. I'm not going to read that whole thing. I just want to sum it up. We are not expected to know everything, Aaron. Okay, we're not expected to know all information. We live in an information age. We can go and get information, and that's fine. But we have to be responsible and honest enough to cite our source and say where we got the information from. That's what a works cited page does. Does everybody understand? It gives us a way to say, hey, I didn't know it all, and this is where I got all my information from. That's basically what the first section says. There are two URLs that are provided for you. If you ever lose this paper, there are hundreds of websites you can go on that will help you with the MLA citations. Even if you're at home and you left your paper here at school, you can go on these websites, okay? The next section, what is an annotated bibliography? We're not going to read that right now, David, but just know we are building towards that, okay? We're building towards that. We'll come back to that later. Put a star next to the section that says, how do I start? Put a star next to the section that says, how do I start? I'm not going to read that either, but that is how you need to set up your works cited page. A lot of this project is about you following directions, okay? So Ben, put a star next to that. When it's time for you to set up your works cited page, you need to follow this to the letter. Okay, now let me back up. Look in your instructions right there. I told you that alongside this Word document right here that I've provided for you, Caitlin, I recommend that you open up a totally separate Word document. What are you going to use that separate document for? Well, as you're answering all your questions and you're getting things from the internet, if it were me, Ryan, I would copy and paste all my links and tell myself what question that helped you answer. That way you got something to organize all of your sources in one place. Okay, everybody following me, yes or no? And then, Ben, everything's on one document. You know what question helped you answer. And then when it's time for you to format this works cited page, you just click on those links, get all your information, and format everything. Everybody following me? Okay. All right, so you're going to look at how do I start. Now, there are different resources that you can use for a research project. All right, let's look at book. Everybody, let's look at book. Now, we're not going to break down all of these, but I want to show you something. We're going to do a quick little exercise. I want to show you something. Look at book. How do you start an MLA citation for a book? What do you put first? Author's last name. You see that? Okay. What goes next? Nope. So if this were college, everybody look at me. If this were college, if you said author's last name and then put author's first name, the professor would mark the whole citation wrong. I know, because I've been there. It's happened to me so many times, Brandy Lynn. So I want to go ahead and share this with you now, because I'd rather you learn it now here as a freshman, so you never have to learn it again. Okay, the hard way, all right? So in college, my professor would tell us this. I'm not doing the math, okay? If it's 4 sources and it's out of 100 points, that makes each source worth how many points? 25 points. If you don't follow your MLA citation to the letter and follow every little step, every comma, every colon, every space, everything, the whole citation is wrong. And he would count the whole thing off. And I would be like, oh my God. All right? So I don't want you to learn the hard way. So now, let's do it again. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. But if your citation is not cited exactly to the letter, I'm going to count the whole thing wrong. Does everybody understand? All right, so now let's do this again. Here we go. Author's last name is first. What comes next? Comma. Thank you. A comma. Followed by a space, then what? Author's first name. Followed by a what? Period. Thank you. Followed by a space, and then what? Notice they said an italicized title of the book. Everybody must italicize their title, so make sure that you do that. It's all everybody's typing, so there's no reason why you can't change that font style to italics. Followed by a what? Period. Followed by a space, and then what?
Place of publication.
Place of publication. Right now, Reagan, make yourself a note above place of publication. Please write city. City. Now, I had a boy earlier go, Miss Hall, right there in the example, it says New York. In New York, ain't no city. I said, well, there's New York, New York. So in New York, there's a city called New York. So we got New York, New York. So New York is a city in the state of New York. I said, now don't write Alabama down there, because Alabama ain't no city nowhere. Okay? So it's a city of publication. All right, after that, what do you have? A colon. After that, what do you have? Space, and then what? Publishing company. Then a what? Comma, followed by a space, then what? Year, followed by a, then a space, then what? Medium. What do they mean by medium? What type of source is it? Was it a printed source, so you put print, or did you get it off the internet and you would put what? Web. Okay, and then you follow that by a what? A period. Make sure you end all MLA citations with a period, Destiny. Do not get them all right and then at the end don't have a period, because I'm going to mark the whole thing wrong. Okay, my professor did it to me. Again, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I just want you to learn it early. Okay? Everybody clear on that, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it tells you how to cite other sources, books with 2 authors, websites, references. Make sure your page has a back to it. Everybody flip it over. The copier missed a few, so if yours does not have a back, let me know. All right. Periodicals, that's magazines and newspapers and journals and things like that. Anything printed periodically. We know newspapers are printed daily. Some journals are printed weekly. Magazines are usually printed monthly. Okay, you follow. So any type of periodical. If it's an online periodical, it tells you how to cite it. If it's a periodical that you get from a database, remember our librarians showed us the online database that you guys have access to, like Encyclopedia Online, Britannica Online, all that, EBSCO host and all that. All right. Scholarly journals, personal interview. Let me talk about that real quick and I'm almost done. Personal interview. We have a lot of students who decided that they would use a personal interview as one of their sources. Easy source to use. All right. If you know that mom is a teacher and you want to be a teacher, interview mom. All right. Let me just give you this disclaimer. Please don't interview me. Okay. Last year I was busy doing interviews because so many people decided they want to be a teacher.
You told us
to get the
no.
project done. And I had to do so many interviews last year. So many interviews last year. And I'm just going to say, it's not that I don't want to be interviewed. It's just that I already know how I feel about being a teacher. I like to read what other people have to say about being a teacher. So it's going to be boring if you interview me and I see myself in 20 projects, okay? Probably even a little like narcissist too. So just interview somebody else. I'm not all myself. I'd love to hear what other people have to say about teaching. All right? But my point is you can interview someone and use them as a source. If you interview them face to face, when you do your your MLA citation, that's a personal interview. If you interview them over the phone, Aaron, we had a lot of kids say, Ms. Hall, can I step out here and call this doctor's office? I want to ask this doctor some questions. Yeah, go ahead, you can get them on the phone, all right? People were calling lawyers, people were calling Uncle Buck over in Alabama, he's a pharmacist, all kinds of phone calls were being made, okay? You would put that as a telephone interview. If it's an email interview, girl kept calling the doctor's office, she was upset because the man would never come to the phone. I said, of course he's not gonna come to the phone, he's busy. What doctor do you know gonna come to the phone going, yeah, hello? All right, you would probably have to send him an email. She sent him an email, and sure enough, he responded to her 3 questions. That's considered an email interview. Everybody following me, yes or no? And it tells you how to cite that. Last few things, helpful tips. Make sure you read these helpful tips verbatim. I'm not gonna read all of them, but I do wanna bring your attention to number 1. Make sure your MLA citations are put in ABC order based off of the author's last name, or if there's no author, you would use the title of the work. Everybody following, yes or no? Number 2, it tells you if there's no author or no publisher or no year or whatever, it tells you what to do. Number 3 talks about where you find information in a book to cite for your MLA citations, how you can find that information. Number 4, why you italicize versus why you would use quotation marks for a title. Number 5, very important. Please circle number 5. Circle number 1 and circle number 5. Indent the second line of your MLA citations. Okay, you'll do a hanging line, and it tells you how to do that, and I will even help y'all set that up. Okay. Number 6, I already told you, make sure you have a period at the end of every entry, even if you end with a URL or website. And then number 7, you know how when we want to create a hyperlink, we copy and paste the URL and then we hit enter and it turns blue? Don't do that for this, okay? Do not hit enter. You don't want it to turn blue. You don't want it underlined. That's in number 7. And then the bottom of this page shows you what a work site looks like, all right? And how it should look when you set it up. Questions or concerns for me? All right. It's 4:08. You can go ahead and log into the computer. I need everybody to go to Remind and make sure you got the document. I will go ahead and download the document. Go ahead and download the document. And you can start answering, or you can just start downloading and saving the document on your